So welcome to our game of Cthulhu Deep Green by Justin Ford, which is based on Graham Walmsley's Cthulhu Dark, but Deep Green is designed for more sort of campaign-style play, which is a little ironic considering this is a one-shot, but still like an interesting game, I think, some cool rules, and I'm sure we'll have a good time. The game was organized through the Gauntlet Calendar, which is an online community that plays a wide range of role-playing games with an emphasis on safety tools. And you can find more information about the community or how to come play with us at gauntlet-rpg.com. Now, I would just love to get each of you to introduce yourselves. Actually, I should introduce myself. My name is Shane. I use she, her pronouns. If I could just get each of you to introduce yourself the same way, your name and pronouns, anything you want to tell us about yourself or how people can find you online. And also just briefly would love to hear your experience with the systems that we're playing with, whether that's Cthulhu Deep Green itself or Cthulhu Dark or Delta Green, which is going to be another touchstone today, or just kind of like Cthulhu anything, if that's better for you. I'll just go with the order that you're on my screen. So Drew, do you want to lead off?
Hi, I'm Drew. I use he, him. I am pretty new to the Gauntlet and role-playing in general. Haven't played Cthulhu Dark, played some Trophy, though.
Cool.
I'm a big fan. I like a lot of mythos stuff, so I'm excited to explore it in this way.
Cool. And Will?
Hi, my name's Will. Pronouns are he, him. I've been with the Gauntlet since like May last year. I've played loads of Alan Reese's what was called Cthulhu Dark, Actung Cthulhu Dark, which is like a World War II thing, and I've played a bit of Delta Green on Night of the Opera, and I've run Cthulhu Dark myself a few times, but never Deep Green.
Cool. Yeah, I've run Trophy Dark a lot, but never Cthulhu Dark, and I feel like the rules are kind of similar enough that I'm going to be constantly confused, but I'm sure we'll get through. So just quickly by way of intro, I'm going to go through a quick CATS thing, where CATS stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. So the concept, we're going to be using Cthulhu Deep Green to run a scenario from the Delta Green Handler's Guide. And the premise of Delta Green is that there's a conspiracy sort of both inside and outside the US government to deal with various cosmic horrors or the unnatural. And where deal with might mean destroy, it might mean exploit, certainly means conceal all evidence of from the public. And your characters are going to be agents of this conspiracy who are willing to go to any lengths to complete the mission. So we're just going to run a one-shot, so a complete story today. I think we've got 4 hours on the calendar. We'll look to take a break about on the top of every hour. Tone of the game is pretty grim and dark. It is a horror game, and the agents certainly may be called on to do terrible things in service of their goals. Subject matter wise, just a couple of things I'd like to flag before we go on to Lines and Veils. A lot of sort of post-Lovecraft games include some sort of sanity mechanic, which can be pretty ableist, depending on how it's implemented, I guess. Just to be clear, there's no sanity mechanic per se in Cthulhu Deep Green, but agents can develop disorders that the game text explicitly specifies as not intending to simulate real-world mental illness. It's just something to be aware of. I think it's also worth calling out that Lovecraft himself and his work were virulently racist, and cosmic horror fiction and games haven't always sort of adequately distanced themselves from that legacy. So part of my goal for today is to make sure that this game doesn't end up trafficking in kind of racist tropes or themes. Anytime you think that might be happening, please do speak up and we can talk about it. And I have also put racism on the list of lines for the game, which we'll get to in just a moment. And the other thing specifically to flag for today's adventure is that it is about a kind of missing child. So there is kind of peril and potentially harm to a child as part of the adventure. If that's good for everyone, I'll get you to open the Character Keeper. I sent a link that hopefully you've got. Yep, you're both on there. So you'll see there's a safety tab with a list of lines and veils. I assume you're probably both familiar with lines and veils, but basically lines are subjects or content we just won't include in the game. They're completely out. And veils are subjects or content that might be included, but just sort of in passing or briefly or fading to black. They're not going to be a focus during play. So just take some time here to think about whether there's anything that you'd like to add to the lists of lines and veils. I've already included some things that are lines and veils for me personally. While you're doing that, the other safety tools that we're going to be using today are just the X card, meaning if something comes up that you're not comfortable with or isn't fun for you, you can just say X card, type an X in the chat, make an X sign. We'll just cut that out, work around it, no problem. No explanations required. Just one thing that I'll ask is I generally won't be looking at the stream while I'm running the game. So if someone does make one of those visual X's and you notice, please let me know verbally so that I'm on top of it. And we also have the open door policy at the Gauntlet. So just meaning if you need to leave, you can leave. That's totally fine. We're also going to be running according to the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. I can link that if either of you need it. Just let me know in the chat when you're happy with the lists of lines and veils, and we can go on from there.
I'm across two computers, so it's a bit awkward for me to use the chat rather without, because Roll With Me doesn't work on my laptop. But right. I'm good. It's Delta Green, right? So like your starting lines and veils are where one of the lines I normally see in Gauntlet games would not work for this scenario. Harm to children is a threat to children is a big part of this one.
Yeah, if somebody had a line on threats to children, would be very seriously reconsidering the adventure that we're running today. So if anyone's watching this as well, if that's a line for you, it's probably a good idea to tune out. All right, so just to let again, anyone watching know, the lists that we have for lines and veils are lines on sexual violence, non-consent, suicide, and racism. And we have a veil on consensual sex. So obviously, if you think of anything else during the game that you'd like to add, you're very welcome to do that. I'm sorry, is there anything else that people wanted to ask just about any of that sort of intro material, or should we go on and make our characters? All right, great. So character creation in this game is really simple. You need to give your agent an occupation and an anchor, a name and pronouns, which I see you've both done already. So hopefully the kind of pop-up notes on the character keeper are going to be sufficient explanation for how occupation and anchor work, but feel free to let me know if you've got any questions about that.
No. I think, it's the occupation. The question is, are we the default? Should we say we're the default, like FBIs or whatever? Like you can be anything, right? Like you're Delta Green.
So Delta Green recruits all kinds of specialists, especially from law enforcement and the military, but also, all kinds of expertise that might be relevant. Just like in terms of game mechanics, it's a dice pool game, and you're going to add a dice anytime your occupation is relevant to what you're trying to do. So you might want to consider having a bit of a spread there of different things that your agents are good at. But it'll also work fine if you both just make yourselves FBI agents. That will work perfectly well.
I was thinking maybe like Army Ranger, something like that. Like maybe I'm pretending to be an FBI agent, right? Like, because we're going to have some sort of cover, aren't we? You don't go in flashing your Delta Green badge and say, stand aside.
I mean, you could try that approach if you want.
Yeah.
I was thinking biologist.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, if you're going biologist, I am going to go with FBI. I think because the Army Ranger was just like, I want to do something to leave the government, the G-man one open to you, But I feel like the skills of an FBI officer and a biologist would complement each other nicely in this. From what I vaguely recall from reading this like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think that will work well.
And the anchor is just like the DG anchors, right? Isn't it? It's just somebody that we care about that we can project onto to preserve our psyche and damage our bonds, right? Like,
yeah. So someone or something, like it could be a hobby or a, something like that, a group that you're part of. Cool. Can we get a name for the boyfriend, Drew?
Michael.
Great. All right. So yeah, I might ask you more about James and Michael as we proceed through the game, or if you need to draw on them at any time. I tried to kind of load the rules for the game into the character keeper. So there's a tab that's a rules reference, and also a lot of stuff covered with pop-up notes. All right. So it is, as we start, it's going to be 4th of July weekend. Probably not 2020 for obvious reasons, but more or less contemporary. So I'm going to ask you first of all, what were your agent's plans for 4th of July weekend? I'm in Australia. I don't really know what happens on 4th of July weekend. I understand it's some sort of holiday. But yeah, let's hear. I'll just go across the character keeper. First of all, Agent Rowan, what were you planning for the holiday weekend?
Well, Sarah, my sister, she'd invited me over with her and that piece of shit she calls her husband. But hey, they had fireworks. I'd get to see James. Maybe I could keep the twitches down when the fireworks went off, and summon up enough spirit to salute that flag. Pretend that it all means something, right?
Beautiful. And what about Rook? What was Rook doing?
I was planning a big barbecue for all friends, all the family. But a call came in and work takes precedence.
Yeah, so that's right. Whatever plans you had, the barbecues, the fireworks, late Saturday afternoon, you got called into a briefing first thing Sunday morning, probably like even 7 a.m. I think that we're gonna assume that your characters start out in San Francisco. That's sort of where they're based. Based on my frantic Googling to try and understand American geography enough to run this adventure. And you've been called in, yeah, like I say, Sunday morning to a briefing in a secure meeting room in an office building that sort of poses an accounting firm. You're probably both, well, certainly Agent Rowan is savvy enough to recognize it as a CIA front. Like, Rook, how much have you actually been around Delta Green or intelligence stuff if you're normally working as a biologist?
I think this might be his second operation, probably his first big one.
Yeah, right. How exciting. So all of it new and mysterious. It sounds like Agent Rowan is much more cynical and damaged by the whole experience.
There's things out there when you don't want to get rid of Clive Bowman's last will and testament.
All right. So I assume that you both do. Like, is there anything that you want to narrate about how you deal with your various obligations, or do you want to just get to the briefing? Like, what do you tell your sister?
It's work, you know. I know I promised James I'd be there for his birthday tomorrow, but we can do it another day, you know.
James is going to be so disappointed.
Well, I'll make it up to him. I promise.
Yeah.
Slip us some money. I know that Jeff's not been working, so hey, make sure it's a good day for him, right?
She looks down sadly at the money. She's heard these promises before. And Rook, like, what do you have to tell Michael about? How does he feel about this?
I think things between me and Michael are a little strained as they were before this, and I think he knows as he's leaving that this is potentially going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Damn.
It's a little tense.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, so you arrive in the meeting room. Have the two of you, like you said, this was only your second operation. Have the two of you worked together before, or are you meeting for the first time?
I'd like to think we've worked together before.
Yeah.
I think perhaps a lot of our interactions have just been, as a biologist, him surveying as something that I've brought to him and then I've taken away to somewhere, or
Right.
but maybe we've done like a less weird op kind of thing, like something that turned out to be unnaturally like human related kind of thing, as opposed to they were successful, right?
Yeah. Rook, does that sound good to you?
Sounds good.
All right. So you kind of, you exchange greetings. You are briefed by your case officer, Agent Knowles, and she, has a big overhead projection of a map of the Hetch Hetchy region of Yosemite National Park up at the front of the room. And she, greets you cordially, and she says, agents, you are to travel to the Rancheria Falls Trailhead Ranger Station in the Hetch Hetchy region of Yosemite National Park. Yesterday morning, a 6-year-old boy was found wandering naked in a field by Tomika Galagos, a ranger based at that station. The child identified himself, and she kind of flashes up some photos as she talks, to show you who she's talking about. The child identified himself as Brandon McGill of Topeka, Kansas. Sorry if I mispronounce American locations. And asked to call his parents, who are now en route to the ranger station. Following that conversation, the ranger contacted the FBI because of an obvious and significant anomaly. 6-year-old Brandon McGill, confirmed by photographic records to be the same boy who turned up yesterday, disappeared in the Hetch Hetchy region in 1980. If he is still alive, he should be in his 40s today. Your orders are to locate the child, to identify the child, to determine whether there is an unnatural threat in the area, and if so, to eliminate that unnatural threat, and regardless, to ensure that the situation appears mundane. The biggest problem you face now is that the FBI have also been called in, and we expect them to arrive on site in no more than 24 hours. If the matter has not been resolved by then, your orders will stand, but the situation will of course be radically more difficult and complicated. We do have an agent Jace with the local FBI who will try to delay them and who can update you on their progress. Because of the obvious time pressures, we have not been able to arrange cover identities for you. You will simply have to talk your way out of any trouble or improvise as necessary. Do you have any questions about your assignment?
Do we have somewhere to bring the subject to?
At the moment, the boy is still at the ranger station. It is a relatively geographically isolated location, but if you can secure the boy and remove him, we can try and set up a field office somewhere for you that you can bring the boy to.
We'll take him to the nearest green box before, in the meantime.
Yes, that sounds appropriate.
It sounds like you need a psychologist, maybe a doctor. Why me?
Agent Knowles looks quite unimpressed by this question. She says that we have reason to believe that biological expertise may be useful to this mission. I am not able to brief you on that information at this time, but rest assured that there is always a reason why the project makes the decisions that it makes. And as she says this, like, it's clear on her face that she has no idea why she hasn't brought in a doctor, that if it was up to her, she absolutely would have, and she has grievous doubts about bringing a biologist on such a sensitive mission.
Rowan leans over to Rook and whispers, "Because you never swore a Hippocratic oath."
His just blanks, like, oh.
Can we put something out on the wire for the parents? Speeding ticket, suspicious vehicle, Amber Alert, something just to look up their driving records. We'll be en route soon, but if we can make those calls and get them delayed anyway.
I can see what we can do. I understand the parents are on a flight to San Francisco at the moment, and presumably will be renting a car at the airport. I can try and make some arrangements to delay them further.
Perfect. Anything, suspected traffic offense, same name on a watch list, anything. Just we need to, whatever we can do to slow them down. It's going to get complicated if the parents arrive.
Yeah, I'll liaise with Agent Jace. I expect that she'll be able to make some arrangements to slow them down.
Can I get hold of... I don't need real FBI credentials. I just need ones that aren't mine.
Well, does Agent Rowan have access to alternate FBI credentials?
I think in the previous mission, he's had, it's like Walter Simon or whatever, right? Like it's a completely fake FBI person who doesn't exist, but it's essentially like, it's the kind of forgery you can make if you've got access to the real thing, right? Like,
well, wait, Agent Rowan presumably isn't his real name, right? Like he probably has credentials in the name Agent Rowan, which can't be, hopefully can't be linked
Walter Rowan, right? Like,
Rowan.
Yeah, exactly. But just something to be like, to make sure I've got something to flash that's not just me, basically.
Yeah.
And a drop. I've got my drop pistol, of course, my backup weapon.
Rook, are there any preparations that you're wanting to make?
Just the standard field kit would be useful. If there's anything to examine, will that be available to me?
The ranger station will have some basic medical equipment. If you want anything beyond that, like a first aid kit at least, anything beyond that, you probably have to bring yourself. But, I assume that you as a biologist have access to some basic testing equipment that you can take pretty easily.
I know a green box with the doctor's bag in on the way.
All right.
We can pick it up.
It's going to take you about 3.5 hours driving to get to the ranger station. So Agent Knowles will encourage you to leave as soon as you've resolved any questions that you have.
Brandon McGill, do we know anything? Is there any details from when he went missing? Where we went missing from Topeka, correct?
No, he went missing from the place that he's been found.
He went missing
from
here
that
in
area.
National Park in 1980.
Yeah. So Agent Knowles will arrange to have the FBI files from his disappearance sent to you en route.
Perfect. Okay. Rook, I'll drive us to the green box. You take over when we move on from there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. You both ready to go?
Yeah, I make sure that we're dressed appropriately for woodland excursions, right? And basic like go bag in the car, like that kind of thing. Just to say that we didn't drive up here as like Mulder and Scully in suits and ties and dress shoes and things.
Okay.
We took. I'm just going to say we took reasonable kind of like, nothing excessive, but normal precautions and preparations for.
Sure. All right, that sounds good. So you collect your gear from the green box without incident. You receive, digital copies of the FBI's 1980 reports on Brandon McGill's disappearance through an anonymous file sharing link. They are relatively benign. Brandon McGill disappeared from the Hetch Hetchy area in Yosemite near a natural landmark called the Devil's Chair on June 22nd, 1980. He was on vacation with his parents at the time. I might just paste a copy of the map into the character keeper. So there you go. So just I'll just make a resources tab. So you should be able to see now a map of the area. So Brandon went missing around the Devil's Chair, which you'll see is a location on the map. The Devil's Chair is a natural stone structure of shattered columnar basalt that happens to have cracked and collapsed to form a vague seat 3 meters tall and 2 meters wide. It's a popular tourist attraction. His parents, Ian and Anne McGill, were 27 and 26 at the time and claimed the child was, quote unquote, right there with them when he vanished at approximately 4:30 p.m. The FBI became involved after an eyewitness claimed to have seen a man in black clothing following the McGills down the trail. 2 independent witnesses volunteered this information separately. One described the man as tall and pale, and the other described him only as a figure in black. A lot of searching was undertaken at the time. Over 100 personnel and 2 helicopters found absolutely nothing, and Brandon McGill was officially declared dead in 1987. Let's see. There are some references in the reports to park rangers' reports have been included in the file that mention other children disappearing in the park under similar sort of they're-not circumstances. A total of 24 children have vanished in Yosemite over the last 40 years in sort of parallel circumstance. Lots of kids go missing and are found relatively quickly, but 24 sort of just very abruptly vanished and were not seen again. There's a report from a park ranger named Walter Delio who mentions other oddities or kind of park folklore or urban legends about these disappearances. He says that bad weather follows the disappearances. And the same thing happened with Brandon. The next day, there was a huge squall that hit the lake for 2 days from out of a blue sky and might have delayed the search. Dogs couldn't find any scent of the boy. When these children have gone missing and are later found in similar circumstances, it's often miles from where they were lost. And that's why there was the rangers encouraged such a huge search radius for this one. Often the child loses shoes or other clothing, but is found unharmed. The disappearances almost always occur late afternoon or early dusk, which is consistent with McGill.
Just to clarify just to clarify one thing before we move on. Some children have disappeared. The 24 children of the last 40 years, the 24 children who have disappeared and never been seen again?
Yes, but there are other children who have disappeared in a similar way and been found days, months later. But nothing comparable to a 40-year gap that we're seeing here. And sorry, the last thing that the ranger says is that the disappearances tend to occur in areas overgrown with huckleberries, and the Devil's Chair area is covered in huckleberries. That is what you get from the FBI files.
Well, shit, Rook.
The folder he's just mentioning, like, God, even a botanist. Why me?
Maybe you're all they have, Rook. I hope you remember some botany, because if it ain't a drug bust, I'm not too good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, plants and people aren't too different.
Let's hope you don't need to use that doctor's bag. You don't know anything about huckleberries then, I take it?
I think I made a pie with them once.
Well, I suppose. Listen, when we get there, your The FBI agent Jace can vouch for us. We're part of their team.
Right.
We were just local.
So if you put that to Agent Jace, she will quickly disabuse you of that notion. She is acting well outside her actual authority. She's contriving delays as best she can.
I don't mean to be like. I just mean as in that they know the FBI is coming, right?
Yes, they do know that.
Yeah. So we lie, and when I say that Agent Jace is vouching for us, all I mean is that
right.
She's got a burner phone.
Mm-hmm.
And we give them the phone number to ring Agent Jace, and Agent Jace might ring up and say, "Yeah, that's Agent Rowan," and then hang up, and then just what? I've never heard of it. What are you talking about? Right?
Sure.
It won't stop the FBI coming. It won't hold up under any scrutiny. But like that's who we are and why we're here is the branch from San Francisco, right?
So Agent Jace has kind of contrived a jurisdictional dispute between the Sacramento and San Francisco offices. That's what's causing the delay. But yeah, she's happy to provide that assistance.
You're a biologist, right? So you're pretend to be a doctor.
Just spoken wet-sounding words.
Exactly. Barney Fife isn't going to know any different. Oh wait, what was I can't remember what the range is called in Yogi Bear. The car that we got, would I have been able to get a 4-wheel drive?
Yeah, I'm sure you were able to arrange that.
Cool. Yeah, it's America. It's like cool.
For the record, I'm Canadian, so I'm just guessing at the Americas too.
We're all at such a loss. Great, the 4th of July adventure.
I have been I've been in Rhode Island on the 4th of July, so I have seen that with my own eyes.
Our local expert.
We need to get in there. We need to find Brandon. We need to remove him from the park as soon as possible. He's the vector here. He's the thing we can't control. Once we've got him clear, we can come back and try and find out what's gone on.
We just leave him at the green box?
We'll deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, Rook. Always deal with the problem in front of you.
Yeah. This time the problem's a 40-year-old, 6-year-old boy.
You can't think of it as a boy.
Oh, that wow.
Listen. I'm just saying, hope will get you killed.
So will bears and whatever else is in the forest. We have to be ready for whatever's going on in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they sent the biologist, right?
Oh.
Cool.
So around the time that you enter the park, it starts to rain. It abruptly starts to rain very heavily. You've still got quite a way to drive to get to the ranger station, but it falls so fast and so hard that the driving is maybe starts to slow down a bit. You're driving over dirt trails a lot of the way, and they're not holding up well under this heavy downpour. Is there anything else that the two of you want to discuss before you arrive at the ranger station?
When they ask about Brandon McGill, it's a coincidence. There were 2 Brandon McGills. But we'll clear all of this up once we've reunited him with his family and we've made sure that he's safe. Yeah? We don't let this weather. We can't let this weather stick us down.
Lightning crashes nearby.
Oh shit! We better do this fast. I don't want to spend my night up here on Bumfuck Mountain.
Even more, the weather turns sharply when someone disappeared here.
Apparently, when they reappear as well.
That's what I'm wondering.
Okay. Peering through the wiping windshield. Big, heavy maglite like flashlights. Sat on the back seat, and what they called like those rain coveralls with us as well. Yeah, I guess we just drive on for now, right up to the ranger station as best as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So it's going to be like late morning by the time you arrive. You kind of pull up in the parking lot. The road behind you kind of turned largely to mud and slush. You can see there's a couple of, it looks like a couple of campers who are like rushing into the ranger station to take shelter as you pull up. What do you do?
Shit, more witnesses, more eyes.
Got to deal with problems in front of us.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go find this. What's his name? Calgoris? The ranger.
Galagos.
Galagos. I do actually have it written down.
Okay.
Don't worry. I just wanted to be
so persuaded by the role playing.
Yeah. I guess park the car up. You grab the kit. Are you armed, Rook?
Yeah, but I've never used it. Training, but that's it.
Biologist, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Try not to shoot me if it all goes south. But
I'll do my best.
I don't think we'll run into any trouble here as long as we get out before the weather hits.
No, don't say that.
It's just very.
I
suppose I should be superstitious. Let's get out. Hoods up through the storm to the ranger station. Ask the ignore the campers and just look for the first official person, essentially.
Yeah. So you come into a common area and you can see there's about a half dozen campers who've taken shelter here. And there's a park ranger who's kind of, attending to them, sitting them down, getting them tea and coffee, hot drinks, things like that. Looks up to see you, gives a look that says, she's annoyed by all these campers coming in to take refuge and assumes that you're, among them. And she's kind of like, just take a seat. I'll be with you in just a sec.
Sorry, I'm looking for Ranger Calagos.
Ranger Galagos isn't working at the moment. Can I help you?
He rang us about an issue that's come up. My name is Special Agent Rook.
So she like hands off the tea to one of the campers. She walks over and shakes both of your hands and introduces herself. Sorry, I'm
sorry, I said Rook because I played Rook before. I might do that once or twice.
I'm Maria LeMay. Thanks for coming. We've been expecting you, of course. Galagos isn't here at the moment. She was working yesterday. But the head ranger, Mr. Keener, will be happy to see you. And I don't know if you want to talk to the boy as well. He's up in the bunks upstairs.
How does he seem? Is he okay?
I mean, better than I would seem if I'd been missing out there. He seems to be in pretty good spirits, really.
Is there anyone with him?
The head ranger might be with him. I'm not sure. He's been resting a lot,
He's been resting. Good.
but he seems healthy.
Has he spoken to you or to Miss Galagos about where he's been?
He said some weird things about where he's been. Let's see. Yeah, we couldn't really get any sense out of him. There's this weird thing. Somebody seems to have gotten mixed up about who his parents are. Yeah, we don't really know where he's been.
That's why we're here. We need to sort all of that out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss LeMay. So you got a lot of people to look after here.
Yeah, well, if this rain gets any heavier, there'll be a lot more.
Well, Christ, let's hope we can get out of here before it hits, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't expecting anything like this weekend.
Well, and
she kind of does this like any of this gesture, the strange boy, the weather, all of it.
Yeah. Well, Rook, let's go say hello to Brandon.
All right. So as you head upstairs, you see some more of the campers coming in. But yeah, Ranger LeMay directs you up to the room where Brandon is resting. Do you knock on the door? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, if LeMay takes to the door and then turns around, I just put a hand up for Rook for a second, then just lean into the door, like, and then assuming I don't hear anything, like unearthly inhuman tongues speaking the name of dead gods to people, I knock and walk in. Not like knock and wait for a door, like, knock and then crack open the door. And
yeah, so I think they've given him, like an iPad or something to keep him entertained. And you see, at least from the doorway, an ordinary 6-year-old boy sitting on a bunk, watching some sort of cartoon. He kind of half looks up, doesn't really want to be distracted from whatever he's watching.
Is the head ranger here?
He's not. But yeah. LeMay will have also pointed out his office to you.
Okay, what was his name again? Sorry.
Keener. Douglas Keener.
Keener. Okay. Well, Rook.
Yeah. And just kind of walks forward and just gently takes a seat a couple of feet away from the boy. Just kind of keeping an eye on him, and he says, "Hey, Brandon."
He says hi. He kind of reluctantly, pauses whatever video he's watching, and looks up to see what you want.
Kind of smile gently and say, "I'm Tom. I'm here to just check on you, make sure you're doing okay. How are you feeling?"
I feel okay. I want to see my parents.
I bet. Yeah, it's been a bit, right, since you've seen them?
Yeah, I don't really know how long it's been.
No? Do you remember the last time you saw them?
The last time I remember them, we were on holiday here in the park. But we didn't have anything like this. And he holds up the iPad.
Oh, yeah.
Something weird's happened, hasn't it?
I think something weird has happened, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to make sure you're doing okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, and that's good. We were glad to hear that.
Yeah, we're here to take you to see your parents, Brandon.
Oh, great.
But Tom here just needs to make sure that you're okay before we go anywhere, all right?
Okay. Not going to stick a needle in me, are you?
Oh, nothing like that, Brandon. Nothing like that. It's going to take your temperature and your pulse, and won't be. It'll be nice. I'll see if I can find a lollipop, huh?
Yeah.
Be just like a real checkup.
All right.
Yeah.
So I reckon I'll get you to roll some dice for this. So, you, for the basic roll in this game, you get a human die if what you're attempting is humanly possible. So clearly that's most of the time you're going to get that. And an occupation die if the action falls under your personal field of expertise. I think this does, unless you feel it's too far afield from biology.
I think he's probably like an animal physiology kind of guy. So it's not too far out.
Yeah. Okay. So that is 2 light die. And you can add a dark die either if you would risk your physical or emotional well-being to succeed. Probably doesn't really apply. Or if you would like to add an element of the horrific to an otherwise mundane task. Do you want to add a dark die?
I think not yet.
Okay, good call. So, just rolling 2 light die then.
This is my first time with this roller.
Yeah. So you should be able to just highlight the 2 light die and then click the rolling icon.
Thank you. Got a 6.
Okay. So if the highest die result is a 6, the agent succeeds brilliantly and gets something extra, maybe more than they bargained for. The handler may confront them with a difficult truth. All right. So what will you find? Sorry, bear with me for a sec. So his vital signs, everything like that is fine and normal. There's nothing abnormal or surprising about the way he's talking or the way he's reacting to anything. But you fairly quickly notice very fine, nearly invisible scars that they almost look like seams, and they are crisscrossing his body in bizarre interlocking patterns. I assume that you probably don't get him like naked or anything, but it looks like they probably cover his whole body. You find a green tattoo on the back of his neck. It is 3 squares and what looks like a stylized ram head. And there is a tiny bump noticeable beneath the tattoo. What do you do?
Brandon, this do you remember hurting your neck or anything strange about the back of your neck?
What? No. And he kind of like fumbles at it. No, it feels fine.
Good. That's good. Kind of casts a look at Rowan.
Rowan pulls out his phone and snaps a picture of the back of the 3 squares on the ram's head.
Mm-hmm.
And sends it to the case officer, I think, via their own secure drop thing.
So sorry, just before you go on, I assume that when you came in, you closed the door behind you, or would you have left it open?
Yes. No, we would have definitely closed it. I think that while Rook was investigating it, Rowan was sort of standing by the door ready to intercept any, like step out and be like, oh, hi, kind of thing. But he has gone over to see what's on the back of Brandon's neck.
So you realize that the door has opened, and it doesn't look like there's anyone there who's opened it. What do you do?
A nod to Rook and then nod to the boy, and then step over to the door and pull it open and look through.
So you see that another park ranger is coming down the hall towards you, but still too far away to have been the person who opened the door. And he nods at you as he sees you. if you let yourself be visible through the
Oh
door.
yeah. I think I am visible. He nods at me, and I smile like warmly and nod back, and then turn around to Rook, like face completely serious, and I'm like, and then I close the door behind me, and I go greet them, who I assume is Head Ranger Kina.
Yeah, so he introduces himself. He's happy to see you. Kind of says, "Here, you're going to help out the boy, right?"
Yes, Ranger Kina. We're gonna make sure Brandon's back with his parents. Well, it's a whole mess. Turns out there's 2 kids called Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it had to be something like that.
Yeah, but we need to get him out of here before we can't. The storm coming in.
I got some bad news for you there. We've had to close the roads out of this park. Nobody's going to be able to go in or out until the water spout passes.
There's a water spout.
Yeah, out over the reservoir.
Wow.
When it rains heavy, these roads just get so muddy. I don't mean to be causing you any trouble, but it would be real dangerous to drive on those roads right now.
Even if we took one of your vehicles?
Yeah. I mean, nothing's going to get through those roads at the moment. I'm sorry.
Well,
but I mean, I expect this to pass fairly soon. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Storms like this, though, we see them from time to time. They don't last more than a day or so.
A day. God, I hate to think of that kid's parents.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, listen, my partner's he's a doctor. He's speaking to Brandon now. I have to see what he says. Kid goes missing like this. Sometimes you need the facilities, right? But we'll make it. I appreciate what you're warning, Ranger, and we'll take it into consideration. We won't go anywhere unless we have to.
All right. Well, let me know if there's anything else I can do. We're all at your disposal. I want to make sure the boy's okay.
Yeah. Do you have anyone out there looking for campers?
And we didn't expect the storm to come up so soon. There's normally only 2. There's only 2 of us on site. We expect that most of the campers in the area will end up in the ranger station over the next couple of hours. Nobody's going to want to stay out in a tent in this rain.
Yeah. Well, let's hope, huh? I'd hate to get someone to get turned around out there and get lost. There's I think we saw a guy as we were driving in, tall, wearing a black raincoat. Just yeah, he was limping or something. He was quite a way down the road, but maybe keep an eye out for him, right?
All right, I'll tell Ranger Lene. That's good information. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ranger. Step back into the room, whisper to Rook, "We're stuck here. The roads are out."
Out, or like they don't want us driving on them out?
Out, like I couldn't think of a way to get the kid out of here without making it clear that we were doing something dangerous. If we have to take it, we'll take it, right? But nothing's coming in either. So we time this right. We get out first thing. Maybe we can make it work. Kid seem all right to you?
He seems fine, other than, the scars all over and the fresh tattoo. Fresh-ish.
Yeah.
Agent Rook, was there anything else that you wanted to do in terms of examining or talking to the boy while you had a minute with him?
I think as they were sitting there, he was just trying to make small talk and ask him, about how he enjoyed his trip when he was here and what, just kind of edging around what happened without directly asking.
Okay. Do you want to roll again for that and see how much information you get?
Sure.
So 1 die for something humanly possible, I don't really think it's going to fall under your personal field of expertise, but you're welcome to make a case if you think it does.
I don't think so.
So unless you want to add a dark die, that'll be just one light die. 1. All right.
1.
So on a 1, you barely succeed, and maybe not in the way you intended. Sorry, this is probably a good time just to mention the failure mechanic in the game. I'm not sure how familiar you both are with the rules. So on your basic roll, there's no way that you can fail at what you're attempting. So the game's going to keep moving forward. Anytime someone rolls dice, if you think it would be more interesting if it was, if there's an interesting way for the story to proceed through failure, you can propose that. Tell us, what the interesting failure would look like, and then you roll a failure die. And if your failure die comes up higher than their or your actual die roll, then they'll fail in the way that you've described. So just something to bear in mind. The other mechanic that's probably worth mentioning here is that if you're not happy with your roll, if you're not happy with your 1 in this instance, you can add a dark die and re-roll the whole pool. So in this case, that would be 1 light and 1 dark die. That does risk your stress and insight, two things that can be problems for you, but you can just keep, if you want to, you can keep rolling until you either satisfactorily succeed or your character is destroyed. Either way. So that said, are you happy with your 1, or would you like to add a dark die and re-roll?
We're about an hour in. Seems about right to try for some stress.
All right, so just roll 1 of the white and 1 of the red die, and we'll call the red die the dark die.
That's
all right. So your dark die is a 5, and that's going to be your highest dice. So on a 5, you succeed and may get an advantage, and the handler decides what it is. But because you've rolled higher than your current stress, which is 0 at this point, your stress is going to go up by 1. So I guess that means that what the boy tells you is, pretty disturbing, especially for someone who's quite new to this sort of work. He tells you, pretty enthusiastically about the holiday that he remembers being on pretty recently with his parents. But then he doesn't really remember much after that, except that he saw some very, very tall people, like way taller than like you or the other agent. And they talked really weird. They talked, but without any voices. Like they talked in my head, I guess. And they made me eat this gray mush made of mushrooms. I didn't like it.
Mushrooms, yeah, that's gross.
And yeah, so you get that out of him, and you're able to relay it back to Agent Rowan when he comes back into the room. And shortly after that, you've kind of updated each other on what you found out. There's a knock on the door again, and the head ranger pops his head in, and he says, "Look, sorry to interrupt. I'm Douglas Keener. I'm the head ranger here." Just introducing himself to Rook. Thought you might want to know one of the backpackers who just came in says they saw another kid out there. Another naked trap stuck out there in the rain. And I think we'll take our first break here and come back and find out what you do about this second child. So we'll just come back 10 minutes past the hour if that's good for you both.
Good.
All right. Thanks very much. See you soon.
Hi.
Hey. All right. Are we all good to keep going?
Yep.
Cool. So Head Ranger Keener has just told you there's been a report of another naked child out in the rain. What do you want to do?
There's another kid out there?
I mean, who knows? One of the backpackers says they saw another kid. Well, he didn't even know there was a first kid. He just said he saw a kid out there.
And he came here rather than...
We can go talk to him if you want. He says that he tried to chase the kid, but his phone died and he was trying to call for help, and he got worried about being caught out in the storm without a phone.
Okay. Listen, Keena, I don't think it's a good idea for Brandon to be left on his own. You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, look, we got to go look for this kid, but if you guys want to stay here, you're more than welcome.
How do you think we should play this, Rook?
We could take Brandon with us in the car. I don't know that we should leave him here alone.
I can look after the kid if you want to go look and see what the other one is. Or we can swap.
I can do that, yeah.
It's up to you. You're a biologist, right?
That's what
You're the expert.
That's what the paper says, yeah.
Yeah.
And like clearly nervous, but yeah, I'll go. I'll do that.
Okay.
All right.
If
So
it looks like the kid, try not to let them find. Draw them off somewhere else.
Right.
If it looks like the kid, this is bigger than something that we can keep a lid on ourselves, right? If it looks like the kid, that means one of them definitely isn't. Remember?
Yeah. I'll call if I see anything.
So is your intention to go with the Rangers, or are you going to head off on your own to explore separately or to search separately?
I think I'd go with the Rangers, but look for if I see an opportunity to deal with this on my own, kind of scoot away.
All right. So I think Ranger LeMay will stay at the base as well, just because there's so many backpackers coming in. They need someone around to help out. So it'll just be Ranger Keena heading off to look for the kid. Does that change anything for Agent Rowan? Are you happy to leave the kid with LeMay?
No. Part of me is as a player, I want to go out into the storm, but then as a Delta Green agent, I'm like, no, don't leave the one thing that you know is unnatural with anybody normal. One of us has to stay behind here, right? So yeah, I do tell Rook though that don't anything, if things go weird, just get out of there, just run.
Got it. All right. So Ranger Keena sort of meets you downstairs and, puts on his heavy parka and says, they said they saw the kid not far from here. We'll just walk. It'll be faster than trying to get our cars to run over these roads at this point. You ready to go?
He kind of pulls up his poncho hood and kind of subtly checks his hip holster and says, yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
All right. So he leaves you about 10 minutes down the track and he says, look, this is where he said he was when he saw the kid. He said the kid ran off into the woods to the east. In this rain, the visibility is so bad, we're not going to be able to do a line search or anything like that. Any thoughts on how you want to handle this?
Start with a yell.
All
Maybe
right.
the kid's just looking for help.
All right. Well, you go that way, I'll go this way.
Yeah, that sounds good that way.
All right. So I guess you can make a dice roll to see how successful your search is.
All right.
So one light die for it being humanly possible. Do you think that your occupation die comes up here? Have you spent time, in the field, in the forest, or anything like that might be relevant?
I'm thinking not particularly.
Yeah, fair. And would you like to add a dark die if you feel that your physical or emotional well-being is at risk?
Yeah, I think he's nervous. He's unsettled. He's in the rainy woods by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, roll one light and one dark die, please.
7.
So it's just the highest die that counts. So that's a 5 on your light die. So that means that your stress isn't increasing, which is good. And let's see, on a 5, you succeed and may get an advantage. All right. So it's definitely kind of long and tedious work, pretty unpleasant, squelching through the rain and the brush not being able to see very far in front of you. But before long, you do see, kind of huddled and sheltered in a tree stump under a big thick branch, a small child just kind of curled up in a ball, shivering.
Hi, hey, hi. Are you okay?
The kid lowers his hands and looks up at you, and you recognize Brandon McGill. And he says, I'm cold.
Yeah, I bet you are. Here, hold on a sec. And I think I'll kind of just tug off my own poncho and hold it out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And also grab my phone.
Yeah. He takes the parka and wraps it around himself, pulls it on. Who are you calling?
I'm calling Rowan.
All right. Well, let's just go back and see if Rowan's done anything in the meantime. What were you doing anything back at the station?
I showed Brandon how to use the drawing tool on the iPad. And I'm sat there and I'm telling him, were there any other kids with you, Brandon?
He's kind of surprised by the question, but then he says, yeah, there were.
Any of your friends?
I don't remember so well. There was Evelyn and Thomas were there. I think they were brother and sister, maybe.
Evelyn and Thomas, right. And where are they, Brandon? Where are they now?
I don't know. Where was that place?
I don't know, Brandon, but we'll find it one day, right?
Okay.
So, now, Brandon, were people nice to you? Or did they hurt you? Were they mean? Did you ever have to hurt anyone?
I never hurt anyone, no.
Good kid.
I don't remember. He just keeps going back to I don't remember so good. It doesn't seem like he's been harmed in any way that he's aware of, at least.
Okay, I show him that picture on my phone of his own tattoo.
And
I say, it's pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, he doesn't recognize it.
Okay. There's only how many ways into this room are there?
I think there's just the one door. You're on the upper story. I mean, there's a window.
Yeah. I go over and latch the window if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask. I go out to get some food and drink for Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And as I go, I just kind of subtly sort of make small talk with some of the campers and things real storm out there, and just try and get a feel for if any of them have seen anything that might stand out to me but not to them,
Yeah, okay. So let's roll for it. Just a basic roll. So a human die for something humanly possible. Does your FBI agent background give you an occupation die?
I'd argue that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Are you interested in adding a dark die at this point?
Yeah, I am, because you haven't made me roll a dark die for finding a strange boy with billions of tiny scars on himself.
All right, so 2 light, 1 dark. All right, so the highest is a light die and a 5.
Yeah.
So you succeed. Yeah, so a lot of the campers don't really have much of note to say, but you find 2 of them who've seen what they describe as tall figures. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just looking for the reference.
I'm so glad to read Hetch Hetchy written down, actually, now that I think about it. Because before I was just like, Hetch Hetchy.
Yeah, so they're not able to be very specific, but a couple of them have seen this sort of strange tall person dressed in black. One in the far distance, so it was hard to tell how tall the person was because you're not sure about the perspective. And the other describes this person crouching close to the edge of the road, weirdly tall, quite pale, and seemed to be just watching people go by.
Creepy. Where was that?
He'll show you on the map, quite close to where the second missing child is reported.
Which is towards the Devil's Chair, correct? Or
yeah.
I say, well, I hope they found some shelter, whoever they are, right? No one should be out there. And then I head back up to.
Probably about this time, you get a call from your fellow agent.
Yeah, hand branding the food. Stand at the edge of the door, watching him eat with a sort of like, oh my god, he eats.
Well, actually, he doesn't eat.
Okay, well, that's another thing to notice then.
Yeah, he might like pick at a bit of fruit on the plate, but the like microwave meal or whatever, he doesn't touch that.
Okay. I made sure to get him something sweet as well. Does he eat that?
Yeah, he'll eat the sweet, like candy or anything like that.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but a 6-year-old you'd expect to eat some food, wouldn't you? Especially after being kidnapped for years. Anyways, Rook, I can barely hear you.
It's another one. Found another kid. Looks a lot like the first.
Looks a lot like the first? Or...
a lot like.
Shit.
Yep.
Listen, you got to get back here. Shit. If they see both of them together.
Yep.
Mud, Rook. Get the boy. Make sure that boy's face is covered in dirt.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Try and make your way back now, right? But if Keena sees you, make sure he doesn't get a good look at the kid, right?
Got it.
You try and get your way back here on your own. I'll come out and meet you.
Okay. Yeah. I'll call when we get close.
Right, but don't. If the Rangers spot us, then we abort, right? We just try and do it the best we can.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So you're going to try and are you going to do what Rowan suggested?
Yep. Going to try and to cover the kid's face with mud, and maybe with the poncho hood pulled up, no one will get a good enough look.
Yeah, I guess like the kid. Yeah, I was just thinking about whether to make you roll for that, but I guess the kid can't really stop you if you want to smear mud all over his face. So that happens.
Torturous thing so much as like you just get your hand covered in mud, and then like as you're helping him with the poncho and stuff, you just like, oh, here, let me.
Yeah. So maybe it's going to like briefly obscure his features, but it's not going to. Anyone who looks at all closely is going to know that that's the same boy.
Right.
And he certainly will come with you if you lead him back towards the trail to try and find Agent Rowan. Maybe I'll get you to roll though to see whether the head ranger notices you.
Okay.
Or just to see how effectively you avoid him. So, one human die. I don't think avoiding your supervisors or avoiding head rangers counts as an occupation die thing.
Don't think so.
So one light die.
Shane, are you going to suggest failure dice in this, or is that purely a thing left to the players to do?
So the rules encourage me to to like avoid doing it, or like to minimize the extent to which I do it. I'm quite tempted, but I think I might hold off on my failure die until nearer the end.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like, because when I've played Run Cthulhu Dark, I've rarely ever had players actually volunteer them, right? But I wasn't sure if you weren't going to do anything, I was going to start doing them. But I'll hold off. I think then in the meantime.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on the failures until things are really bad.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
all
a
right.
3.
A 3. So I think a 3 is barely a success. Okay. So yeah, you get him back to the road, and you see, a silhouetted shape up ahead that you think is probably Agent Rowan. As you meet up with Rowan, though, your phone rings. Sorry, did you exchange phone numbers with the head ranger?
Burner phone numbers.
Yeah. So the ranger probably, I think, gives you a call just as you recognize the head ranger's number. He's ringing you just as you and the boy meet up with Agent Rowan. What do you do?
I pick up. Yeah.
So there's hey Agent Rook, look, I can't see a goddamn thing out here. I think we got to call this for now and just head back to the station. All right. What do you think?
Yeah. I had no luck. Yeah, just come on back, get dry.
All right. Well, I'll just meet you back at the station. All right. I'm coming back now.
Yep. Just kind of movie style, just end the call.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan and.
Well, I think we would have suggested to meet at the car. Right, you bring the kid back to the car, and load him in, and Rowan is going to just step out to meet and talk to you. And then he's going to go, shit. Okay, I'm going to go get the other one. Then we're going to get out of there. Look, we can't leave either of them for the locals to pick up. We can't let the parents get here. We can't let anybody here see both of them together. Our best bet is we get out now. Right?
How are they going to react seeing each other?
How the fuck are the Rangers going to react when they see them together? Listen, get the car ready to go, okay?
Yep.
Strap the kid in, right? And there are handcuffs in the back.
Really? He's 6. Or 46. Yeah, fine. Okay.
I'm not saying you have to use them, but just make sure you've got them ready, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'll have them.
Okay, Rowan gets his game face on for this. He's basically going to try and just, walk straight into the ranger station, up the stairs, grab the kid, pick him up kind of thing, and just walk smoothly and calmly out of the door and into the car, and we're going to drive away from this and sail off into the sunset, right?
So Brandon will come with you. You again notice that he hasn't eaten the hot parts of the meal that you brought him earlier, but everything else is gone. As you bring him downstairs, it's like, is he walking, holding your hand? Are you carrying him? Like, how is this happening?
I'm not. Sorry, 1 second. My internet's gone on my thingy, my network one. I think I'm carrying him because it's quicker, right? Like it's a 6-year-old, right? Quickest, quietest way to get him out of there is to pick him up, make sure he's got the iPad there. I just turn the music all the way down, and then I just go like, "Okay, buddy, we're going to take you to go see your parents, right? Just need to be quiet, okay? Some of the people here, are sleeping, okay? And then we'll just a quick dip in the rain, and we'll be right home. All right?" And I try and get out of there.
All right, so let's
hopefully not bumping into the other ranger.
I think you'll have to make a basic roll to see if you can get him out, or how effectively you can get him out.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that my FBI training helps me with moving through a crowd unnoticed.
Yeah, I think that's plausible.
That's a 6 on the dark dice.
All right, so your stress increases by 1. But on a 6, you succeed brilliantly and get something extra, maybe more than you bargained for. Okay, so the yeah, you quite deftly navigate the crowd. You see your moment when the other ranger is turned away, and are easily able to get across the common room, out the door. Mercifully, the rain seems to have eased a little, and so you step out into only a light rainfall, not the heavy torrents that have been coming down before. And you can see, just a short, easy route back to the car.
Okay. We go.
Do you want to say anything to this Brandon before he sees the other Brandon?
I take him into the front seat.
Okay.
Set him on my lap. Not on my. Well, I don't know. Rook's driving, right? Let's say we put the other Brandon in the front seat, and this one's in the back with me. Just because we would have thought about this logistically before we separated, right? Like, and I go in the back, and yeah, I just kick the back of Rook's chair to pull off and drive us out of here.
Just as you're slamming the door shut behind you, you hear Agent Keener call out, "Hey, Agent Rowan!" Do you stop?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I put Brandon in the car, close the door, turn around to Keener, and quickly walk to meet. Actually, no, I do. As in I stop, as in I go to walk to meet him, but I don't stop like shoving Brandon into the car. I go over to I intercept him before he can get close enough to see what's in the car.
So as you turn back towards him, and Rook, you'll also see this in the rear vision mirror. You see Ranger Keener approaching from quite far down the track, but because the rain's eased off, the visibility is a lot better. And walking beside him is a 5-meter tall, pale man in dark clothing.
5 meters?
Yes, 5 meters tall. Can I get you both to make a stress check? So just one dark die, and if it's higher than your current stress or insight, your stress or insight will increase.
So stress or insight increases.
Well, but if it's higher than both, then both will increase.
Okay. Should I have increased it on the previous one?
No. So some checks will just be for stress, and some will be for both stress and insight, depending on whether you're kind of exposed directly to mythos knowledge. Do you approach Ranger Keener, given there's a giant beside him?
No, I stop and I yell and I point at the guy. And I got my hand.
He looks. Sorry, go on.
One hand is coming behind my back for the gun holstered there.
Yeah. Agent Keener turns and looks directly where you've pointed, like straight at the giant, and just turns back to you and shrugs as if he doesn't see anything.
What's the giant doing? Walking with him?
Yeah, it's just walking maybe half a pace behind him. Agent Rook, do you do anything? Because you can also see this in the rear vision mirror.
I think, Rook will kind of frantically look at Brandon 2 and 1 and say, just cover your ears. And kind of opens the door and steps out and is just ready to do whatever Rowan leads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do. Keena's coming over. The invisible guy next to him. It's a 5 meter tall man that I can see that this guy can't. I pick up. How far away are they at this point?
I don't know, like 20 meters.
Meters, cool. As they're coming towards, I bend down and I pick up a branch from the ground or a stone or whatever, right, and I throw it as hard as I can at the giant.
Okay. Yeah, you could probably throw something that far. It strikes him. It bounces off. Keena looks to see what just happened. Like he heard something, but he doesn't. He still doesn't seem to.
I yell, "Bear! Bear! Run!" Going towards the ranger station.
All right. I think that. Well, yeah, I think that'll do it. He'll run towards the station. Kind of looking back.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, he runs right into the ranger station. I guess that's what he'll do.
Cool.
The giant does not follow him into the ranger station. It continues towards you.
Shoot it.
All right. So let's talk about the combat rules for Cthulhu Deep Green, sorry. If an agent attempts an action that risks life or limb, the handler will treat them to a terrifying vision of their inevitable injury or demise. If the agent rejects this version of events, they may choose to rewind and take a more measured course of action. Their safety is never guaranteed, however. On a 1 to 3, the harm might come to pass anyway. If an agent chooses to proceed with their reckless action, they roll the dice, accept the consequences, and mark harm as directed by the handler. So, a vision of your inevitable demise. If you shoot the creature, it will possess you and cause you to shoot yourself.
Then in that case, I don't shoot at it. I think I fire a warning shot as Ranger Keena runs away. To sell the idea that there's something running, and then I turn around to Rowan and I yell just "Get in the car!" and pile in there and let's drive off.
All right. So I think you still need to roll to see if the harm comes to pass anyway, which does make me wish I'd picked a less dramatic example. But let's. Let's have you roll. Just roll a light die, and on a 1 to 3, you are still going to be possessed by the giant.
I can re-roll with the dark dice, can't I?
Yeah, I guess you can.
Well, I'll re-roll with the dark dice then. A 5.
Okay, but that will still increase your stress.
Do you mark stress just to re-roll? Or...
No, but just because the dark die is higher than your current stress, I don't think it needs to be the highest die. Or sorry, I'll just double check that.
If the dark die rolls highest and is higher than
okay, yeah, sorry, my mistake. Okay, great. So you get in you shoot a warning shot, you scream, you jump back into the car. As you do that, you realize that both Brandons have looked around, having heard the gunshot, and are both screaming as they see this thing. And the car suddenly it almost feels like an explosion. The car pops a good like meter or two off the ground and falls rapidly back down. And there's some sort of shockwave that radiates out from the car towards the giant. Get both of you to make a stress test. So just one dark die. And if it's higher than your current stress, your stress will increase by 1.
Yep.
All right. Both at 3 stress, which seems about right. The both Brandons are still screaming. What do you do?
Drive.
Yeah, he's also screaming, but driving, and just both hands on the wheel, eyes wide, foot flat on the floor. Or pedal.
Okay. I think that you're going to have to make a roll to drive away in the circumstances. And you'll also see in the rearview mirror that you can no longer see the giant.
So that's just I think that's just a 1. Don't think any biologist skills apply.
A 3. So you'll barely succeed. So the car, you do get it going. It briefly seems like it's going to stall out or bog itself down in the mud. And you are, as panicked as you are very worried that it doesn't really seem like you're going to be able to drive this over those dirt roads all of the way out of the park. Like, they're so wet and thick. But you get it going, you start to drive away, and you still can't see the giant in the rearview mirror. Are either of you doing anything to try and calm the screaming Brandons, who also now have noticed each other, I guess?
What's the reaction to seeing each other?
It just sort of, it's hard to distinguish from their general distress at seeing the giant. They're both like screaming in fear about whatever is happening.
I guess I'm on the back seat and I've got like one arm over the kid, and like my gun kind of like peering through the back window as Rowan crashes us through. like, shit, I don't see him. You see anything?
I don't see anything.
Fuck, shut up, kids. Brandon.
Guys, I know it's super weird right now, but we need you to just stay as calm as you can, please.
So I guess that does like quiet their screaming a little. But Rook, you see another child in the road up ahead. This one not naked, but it's right in the middle of the road, and you're going to hit him if you keep driving this way.
Yep. Foot to the brake, just instant, like instinctual reaction even. Do I roll?
No, I think you can pull up in front of it. I think that's okay. The child walks towards your car.
What the? And he looks through the window. What clothes is the child wearing?
Oh yeah, it looks like quite old-fashioned clothes. Maybe 60s or 70s. You're not exactly sure.
Does he look like Brandon?
No. Looks to be maybe like 12 years old or so.
What do we do, Ron?
It's close to the car now.
I wind the window down with the gun like just below the thing, and I say, I look over, I glance back at like Brandon 1. I look over and I say, Thomas, right? Is that you, Thomas?
The child doesn't reply. It just keeps walking towards you.
Drive on, Rowan. Go around.
Go around. Yeah. Just shifts the car back into go and starts driving.
Right.
We should call the ranger. Tell him there's another kid out there.
Um,
That's a good idea, Ron.
okay, so you drive on. Very close, like not much further up the road, you see another child standing in the middle of the road. This one dressed in more recent, but still like out of fashion clothes. This is a girl. She looks to be maybe about 8. She's in the middle of the road, almost as if she's deliberately trying to obstruct you.
This is getting ridiculous. Don't call the ranger.
The Brandon in the front seat will say, "Stop! You're going to hit her."
I'm not going to hit her. Just kind of veer away at the last second. Hopefully she won't jump in front of the car.
She'll try and jump onto the car. In fact, she will. She'll jump onto the like front of the 4-wheel drive, and you'll see her start to pull herself up the front, like towards the windshield, and notice that there are 2 children standing in the road a little bit further ahead, spread out so that there's no way that you can navigate around them both.
Bring the car to a halt again.
I think I might get you both to make a stress test at this point.
What happens when is that when we mark a disorder, when we hit 6 stress?
I think that's right. Yeah, you get a disorder when you reach 6, and then clear it back to 0.
I got a 1.
I got 5. Stress is going up.
Are you going to hit the 2 children, or are you going to stop?
I'm going to stop.
Okay. The girl on the bonnet starts punching the windscreen, shattering it. And both Brandon start screaming again.
How old is the girl?
She looks to be about 8.
8. I swear I kick open the door and I grab her by the back of the head and throw her off the car.
Okay, that'll work. You'll also notice that the child that you drove past earlier is holding on to the back of the car.
You must be a mess by now, though, right? Yeah, I throw her off, and then my eyes lock on the child on the thing. You know what? I'll guess again for that. Like, that's terrifying.
Okay.
It doesn't go over my number. There's still 2 kids in the road in front of us, isn't there?
Yeah, they're coming towards the car now.
I raise the gun. You know what? Actually, I don't raise the gun. I pull out the road flare from my from the jacket that I had slipped into the pocket when we got out, and I light it.
Okay.
Sort of like, you know, like do the sort of like Frankenstein kind of like waving it at the wild animals, like get out of the. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of the way, you freaks.
Agent Rook, what do you do while this is going on, if anything?
I think I'm turned to Brandon and are they still screaming? Are they?
They're distressed, but they're probably not screaming at this point. Like maybe they're too hoarse for that.
Right, just stay calm. This is all under control. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
And seeing the flare, is it having a reaction?
No, the kids are all still moving back towards the car.
Yeah, I just open the door, or I don't have to open the door. The windshield's gone, and I'm just, Rowan, get in the car.
I throw the flare at them, look down at my gun, look back at them, and then swear and get back in the car.
All right. You notice that one of the children is gnawing off its own hand.
That's
as
a stress
it approaches the car. Yes, that would be a stress die, I think, for you both.
It doesn't beat me.
Okay.
Does me.
I think Roll With Me is frozen for me. See if I can refresh it. Cool. The child successfully gnaws off its own hand. Are you driving again, or what are you doing? You're going to hit 2 of these kids if you drive.
he's gonna try and hit him gently.
Yeah, I guess you like drive over, like you can accelerate slowly into them, knock at least one of them to the ground and sort of drive over it. You hear, you feel the car grinding over the bones of this small child as you drive over it. And as you pass and start to accelerate, you see that the child that you just ran over stands up behind the car in the rear vision mirror. It doesn't look like it should be able to stand up at this point. You pretty much tore off one of its legs with the tire, but it's still pulling itself up in a way that no human child should be able to. And there are more children in the road in front of you. What do you do?
Looking at Rowan with just wide eyes, I'm going to gun it.
Just fucking go, man. Just fucking go.
Just guns it, just flat out.
So I think if this isn't a time for me to make you roll with a failure die, I don't know what would be. So I'll just get you to roll to keep driving.
Right.
And I'm going to introduce a failure die. So let me just check that. I can describe a worse outcome for the action at hand and roll a single failure die. Let's see, what would the worst outcome be? I think the worst outcome is that the car gets stuck in the mud and can't go any further. So just build your roll like normal.
Yep. I think.
What do you got?
Just the one, or could I throw a dark die in there?
You can always add a dark die if you want.
I will do that. A 4.
A 4 on the light or the dark
The
die?
light.
Okay. So I'm going to try and beat that. Just rolling a dark die. Oh, it's a tie. What happens to a tie? I think I have to beat it. Yeah. Okay, so your action succeeds. You can gun it down the road away further. You crunch through a number of small children, all of whom, quickly stand and start following the car from behind. And then you're doing pretty well. Like your driving is going quite well. You get yourself a good, few hundred meters down that road back away from the ranger station. And that's when you see the giant standing in the middle of the road ahead of you. And
I am not.
I think he will just hold a hand up towards your car as if to say, don't drive into me. That you want to try and ram through him with the car?
At this point, if he's in my way, that's his problem.
Okay. So I think I will get you to make a an insight check. So just roll a dark die against your insight score.
Okay. That's a 5. That's higher.
Okay, so your insight increases. And you have a moment of contact with this intelligence that, in some ways is recognizably human or humanish, but is just so ancient. You feel the weight of centuries or millennia behind the intelligence that fills your head for the moment. And you realize that you've turned off the ignition. Agent Rowan, you notice that Agent Rook has stopped the car, apparently in response to the giant in the middle of the path ahead. And you can see that a crowd of these children, many of them badly broken by having been driven over, are running towards the car from behind. What do you want to do?
I swear, and I grab. I look at Brandon too.
Mm-hmm.
Has Brandon too actually said anything to anyone yet?
Yeah, he talks.
So okay, both talk, right? I swear I grab. Well, I've got Brandon 1 in the back, actually, haven't I? Brandon 2's in the front. I grab Brandon 1 and I kick open the door, and I reach in through the broken, side door of the thing, and I grab Rohan by the collar. And I'm like, no, Rohan, Rook. Got my own. Watched Lord of the Rings of the day. All getting messed up. I grab Rook by the collar, and I go like, "We gotta go." As I assume this giant is like quite close to us now, as we've just we're gunning it towards him, and then suddenly just went.
Yeah.
And now we're surrounded. I'm going to try and make a break for the woods, hoping that Rowan's going to follow me.
Right. And Rowan, what will you do?
What kind of effect did that have on me, like physiologically? Was he in shock or kind of stunned by that?
No, there's just it's more like there's a moment you can't account for. Like there was a few seconds you don't remember in which you turned the keys off.
Right.
Stop the car.
Okay. So yeah, he'll take a moment of just like looking up and down, and then he'll follow Rowan.
Are you going to bring the other Brandon, or is Brandon staying in the car?
Oh gosh. Yeah, he'll just grab the other kid, like just quickly unclip the seatbelt and grab his arm and just, come on, we got to go.
All right. So all of you rush off into the woods, pursued. Well, who knows what's pursuing you exactly at this point, and you realize the rain is getting heavier again. And we'll take our next break here, maybe coming back just at 5 past the hour, if that's okay.
Yeah. Really wish I'd asked to bring some hand grenades.
All right. I'll see you soon.